Hi there, this is David Fish. It is Friday the 21st, and I really wanted to get this done yesterday, but I had some other pressing things, and so I want to do a little bit different kind of video today. I've got the text of chapter 33 from Decker's text before you, and so this is over mி-Verbs, part 2, non-indicative forms. So I just want to draw your attention to this. It says in the previous chapter we learned the indicative forms of the mி-Verbs. Now we will study the non-indicative forms, subjunctives, imperatives, participles, and infinitives. You already understand how these forms function. All we need to do is see what they look like in a me congregation. And this is probably important. You do not need to memorize these long lists of forms. Can you say, oh yeah? They're simply for reference. And so very quickly, I just want to walk down through this material in the chapter, look at the forms, and maybe do a little bit of searching in the New Testament to find some participle forms to show you how they work. Okay, so I'm just going to start scrolling down here. The active subjunctive forms of didomi. Okay. First off, in the present, you can see you've got this reduplication in iota. We've got a did in each one of these. And I remind you that one of the characteristics of mי-Verbs is you've got this special kind of reduplication with iota in the present tense. Of course, in the non-indicative, you're not going to have any imperfect forms, and so it'd be just in the present tense. And so you can see that. Now, in the first aorist subjunctive, I'll bring to your memory that the form marker of the aorist subjunctive includes a sigma. In the first aorist indicative, we got a sigma alpha. But it's important to see all the way down through these forms of the aorist, you've got a sigma. There are some second aorist forms not found too much in the New Testament, and so you won't have the sigma, but you will see in all of these, notice the sign of the subjunctive is a lengthened connecting vowel, or a thematic vowel. And so you will encounter these forms. This chart you can just refer to as reference. I'm going to skip over the examples, and we move down into the imperative. We've got the present active imperative of mי-Verbs. We're going to have didomi, istemi, tithemi, the three commonly used mי-Verbs. And as you can see, you're going to have this reduplication that is very noticeable for didomi and for tithemi. The reduplication of istemi, because it begins with a vowel, will be vocalic, a vowel type reduplication. So you can just see those forms. And once again, we'll note that in the imperative, we got second singular, third singular, second plural, third plural, just like with the other kind of verbs. In the aorist active imperative, this would be the default form. Notice we've got dos, doto, dote, doto-san. Okay? And these are some of the forms that you've already encountered in your BLC work. Dos emi poterion. Give me the cup. You've seen this one, steithi, or sometimes steson. You would understand that. And we've also had this form, thes poterion epi ten trapesan. Set the cup upon the table. So you're a little bit ahead of the game over those who have just studied from a grammar translation method, because you've been using imperative verbs from the very beginning. We'll continue scrolling. We do have some cases of an optative. Of course, there are only 65 optative forms in all of the New Testament. Infinitive, you will find some of those. You've got didone, present active infinitive of didomi. Dune, I believe we've probably seen that. We don't have very many future infinitives, but you will probably in context recognize those as infinitives. You can use these charts kind of as a reference. Okay, then we come down to participles, and I kind of want to land here for just a little bit. Notice in the present active participle, you're going to have the reduplication with iota. We're going to have forms that look like the others. We're going to start with deduce. That's a little bit different rather than an own ending. But notice the genitive endings are very much what we would expect them to be. So my guess is that with the usual participle markers, notice the new tau, which is a marker of an active participle, the us, which would be the active participle in the feminine. My guess is that when you see these forms, you will recognize them. I want to scroll down here next and see the aorist active participle. We'll begin with dus, dondos, dondi, donda. These are all forms and endings that you should be expecting. The aorist passive participle, notice we've got the thes, thesa, then that we have in the others. Thendos, theses, thendos. And so I think that probably there's not too much difficulty in recognizing these. Now, one of the things that I've already done is I have searched the New Testament for instances of the verb didomi as a participle. Perhaps I can just go back to the very beginning and actually fill this out again. I want to make certain that my keyboard is set for English. What I'm going to do, I'm searching in line in the New Testament, and I've got several types, actually 3 types of searches I can do. I can search a book, Bible, or morph. What I want to do is a morphology search, and so I'm looking for didomi, and so I'm going to type lemma : I'm going to switch my keyboard over to Greek. There it is on Greek, and I'm going to just type the word didomi. As I type it, we come up with a population of what I'm looking for. Notice this will give all of the forms of didomi. Doso is actually a future indicative, and so I want to limit this search now to participles. And so I'm going to click just the @ sign. I will select a verb. Let's make this, limit it to aorist participles. I will click on aorist and then participle. And so the results that we would find would not have that reduplication with iota anywhere, because we're talking about participles. Let's just kind of look at this. We've got tondonda, okay? Having seen the crowds, they feared, and they glorified God. Notice we've got tontheon, tondonda. They glorified God, the one giving such authority to men. Down here in Mark 13:34, we have a certain man. This is a word that means went away on a journey, leaving his family. Notice as I point to that word ikian that you recognize, the gloss at the bottom says house. Okay, can also mean house. We've been using that as family. Certain man going away, having left. This is aphiemi, having left his house or his family, and giving to his slaves authority to each one over his work. Okay, so we've got dus. I wanted to get down to 2 Corinthians. This last week I was preaching out of 2 Corinthians chapter 5, and I thought this was just a a wonderful example in 2 Corinthians 5:18. This is the one I wanted to see. And tapanda. And all these things are from God. Notice we've got an attributive participle there. Tu theou tu katalaxandos. This is a word that means reconcile. All these things are from God, the one who is reconciling us to himself through Christ, and he is also the one giving to us the ministry of reconciliation. You can see this participle means the one reconciling, the one who reconciled, perhaps. So this is an aorist participle. Back in the old days, we might say all this is from God, the one having reconciled us to himself through Christ, and the one having given to us this ministry or service of reconciliation. So this is a genitive because it goes ultimately with ek tu theou. This is from God, ek tu theou, and so we've got genitive participles that go God who reconciled us and God who gave to us the ministry of reconciliation. And so basically chapter 33 of this text is reference for you, but I wanted to show you a little bit how that works in this text. Blessings. We got one more Zoom conference. Enjoy BLC 4, 5, and 6 from Unit 13, and we will reach the goal line together for God's glory. I'll talk to you later this week. Bye-bye.